It's taken Australia a little more than an hour on the final day to wrap things up at the Optus Stadium. The series is level. It's Tim Paine's first win as Australia captain. It's even sweeter the fact that it's come at home and to add to the cherry that it's leveled this series. They look back at getting 300 plus on what looked like a very deceptively green pitch at this new stadium in Perth. Marcus Harris top scored, Usman Khawaja got runs in the second innings, Tim Paine got runs. They managed to grit it out, the Australian batsmen. Virat Kohli got 140 games in this 140 runs in this game. How India would have hoped they had one more. 140 is all that they managed in the second innings. That target of 287, 146 too many for the Indian team. It's another chase gone wrong in the fourth innings. It sets up a very interesting chat on Maruti Suzuki presents ESPN Cricket for Matchday. I am Rana Kapoor. Murli Karthik. With me, we've relieved VVS Lakshman to more lucrative pastures at the IPL auction. Karthik, we'll get Damon Martin's thoughts in just a second too, but worthy winners Australia. We knew this would happen on the final.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially in this game, and I think we were behind the 8 ball from the get-go, from the selection point of view on the first day. And the way we've not had any contributions from the top order and the lower order. I also felt on the first day itself that in the first innings 326 were too many on this surface. With the discipline which the Indian bowler showed in Adelaide on a lesser helpful surface, and to come to Perth which was a lot more lively, and then to you've bolstered your pace bowling attack, and then to give this Australian batting lineup 326 runs were asking for too many, because on this surface those taller bowlers, once it started cracking up, they were always going to give you nothing away. So yeah, I thought that quite a few things which went wrong for India from the get-go.
It was a lead that they managed courtesy of that 326 in the first innings, could have played into the hands of the second. Damien, it is a massive win for Australia. I saw the emotion on Tim Paine and Justin Langer. First win, levelling the series. What does this win mean for this new look Australian team that was desperate for tasting victory in Test cricket?
Yes, and look, it's just not this series. As you said, the emotion on Justin Langer and Tim Paine, a lot of pressure there after the South Africa and what's happened, and players missing, and this new look Australian side, and some new players in that they needed to win, just not the series but the confidence of the whole team. And as Murli said, I think this Test match was huge for them. And batting first, he took a gamble, Tim Paine. I mean, I think the wicket threw everybody into this thing of what's going to happen. What are they going to do? Tim Paine said, we're going to bat first. We're going to have a gamble with that and go forward. And then the Indian bowlers, as Murli said, the Indian bowlers probably just lacked discipline that first day instead of what they bowled like in Adelaide, and that let Australia back in. And as you know, at this level of cricket, you can't let a side back in. And once they did, India on the back foot, and a lot of positives for Australia going forward. And big Test match in Melbourne, big Test match in Sydney coming up.
We're going to look forward to that. But just before we move forward, Damien, how much has the manner of this win impressed you? They didn't have one outstanding batsman in this Test match like India did in Virat Kohli. There wasn't 100 in both innings from the Aussie batsmen, but everyone stood up, gritty 30s, 40s, batted time. It was Australia's batting that was a big question mark ahead of this series. How much has this performance impressed you on that front?
Yeah, look, and then their batting still is question mark going forward. I mean, series so far, the highest average is like 40, and the rest are like 30. So that's not great going forward. But you're right, this wicket suited that, just gutsy, get in there, 30, 40, 50 sort of knocks, good partnerships, good opening partnership over 100, as Tim Paine just mentioned then in the press conference. So you need that going forward. They need to look at a few things, injuries and form going forward. But I look at this whole series, this whole Test match, Lyon was the standout. No one wanted to pick a spinner. No one thought a spinner would do well on this wicket. Murli will be all over this, the next question. But Lyon was the standout. I mean, he came in there, he could hold up and then build partnerships, but then get vital wickets for Tim Paine, which was crucial this Test match.
8 wickets for Nathan Lyon, and in a Test match where we thought, like Damon Martin said, that fast bowlers will cause all sorts of problems. He is probably a worthy man of the match. Before we speak more of Nathan Lyon, quick rapid fire with both Karthik and Damien Martin to sum this Test match up. All set?
Yep.
You always are. There's always fire and quick and there's a lot of rapidness in your answers. The best moment from this match for you?
I would just say Nathan Lyon's bowling.
Okay, best individual performance?
Nathan Lyon again.
Okay, trumps Virat Kohli for individual performance.
Yeah, but just on a surface where you're not expected to get wickets, to bowl the way he bowled, I would give it to him. Not because I'm a spinner.
Sure, I'm sure. Takeaways for India?
Hanuma Vihari's batting. Rishabh Pant and the way he's come, there was something nice about it.
Okay.
Shami's bowling in the second innings. That's it.
All right. Takeaways for Australia.
Oh, huge. I think just the way, just the momentum and the fact that they've salvaged a win from a situation where nobody was giving them a chance after what happened in the first test match. I think Marcus Harris, the way he's batted, even Finch, the way he batted in the first innings. So yeah.
And after the evidence of 2 test matches, which team do you think will win the series? Or will we have a winner?
It's a tough one to say at the moment.
Okay.
Tough one to say.
Fair enough. Let me go to Damien Martin. Same set of questions. He's had a little bit of time to think about it. The best moment of the match for you, Mato?
I'm going the stand opening partnership number 100, which set up for Australia.
Yeah. Best individual performance for you?
It's between Kohli and Lyon. I'm going Kohli because of that wicket. No one got close to those runs, so I'm going Kohli.
Yeah, the batsman goes for the batsman, the spinner goes for the spinner. I see how this goes. Takeaways
That's the usual one.
Takeaways for India for you, Damien.
I think, Kohli getting runs. I think he needs to get in the series for them, to win this series. And then Shami with his sixper was outstanding.
Takeaways for Australia?
Just a win, I think, for confidence boost. We take that. So I think that as a whole team, it'll just be the win.
And which team do you think will win the series?
Well, I'm going India still. If Ashwin's fit, if Ashwin comes back in, I think Melbourne could be a draw, and then Sydney, I think, could be India.
Very well. Let's get into a more detailed wrap of this match. And after the highs of Adelaide, an opportunity perhaps for India to seriously put the imprint on this series and try and get Australia by the neck, get a 2-0 lead. And they had their moments. Now, where do we go back? Question asked to Virat Kohli of whether it all started with a poor selection call. Now, does it look like a bad selection call only in hindsight?
No.
Or do you think that they should have got it right?
No, you were not with us the last 5 days. From the first day I've been going on about it. You never pick a team for the first day of the test match. You pick a team keeping in mind the ebbs and flows, what's going to happen. Yes, nobody can read the wicket to the extent which otherwise everybody would be big crystal ball gazers. But when it comes to picking a balanced side, you want to pick the right ammunition in terms of bowling. Also, keeping in mind that this is not going to change right through the series. You still have those 4 or 5 bowlers who are going to bat like those bowlers. I don't think you're going to get massive contributions. It's not suddenly that they turn up and become Sachin Tendulkar's or Garfield Sobers. That's not going to happen. So you have to keep in mind that we've got a long tail. You have to keep in mind that our opening slot, opening 2 aren't getting runs or haven't gotten runs. So just the fact that we went in without a spinner, we went in without Bhuvaneshwar Kumar, I just thought that we started on the wrong foot.
Let's say that the spinner may not have had an impact on the first day, and that first day was crucial with 100.
Impact.
Would you still have wanted India's bowlers to bowl better on that first day? We've spoken of the 300 plus, the 100
and the reason why I say that, Ronak, is that it was a quick turnaround.
Yeah.
And enough overs had been bowled by those 3 seamers.
Yes.
And when you look at a track which is so green, and please remember Cape Town, please remember the way Bhuvaneshwar Kumar has bowled right through his series, right through his career. It's just that you give him a wicket like that, he is going to make early inroads. Even if he doesn't make inroads, he's not somebody who's going to go for runs, who's going to be very, very consistent. And that's why I thought we made a poor selection call. 3 bowlers who had bowled enough overs. Do they get enough rest? No. Even as 4 seamers, you can bowl 4 or 5 overs. You still have to come back quickly, and that's where somebody like a Ravindra Jadeja comes into play, because he's not going to give you runs. He's not going to give the opposition any runs. And you never know. Just like Hanuma Vihari was able to eke out a couple of wickets, this guy has been on the top of the test bowling, was ICC number 1 at one stage. So please, for God's sake, somebody has to look at him as a spinner as well, who's done well. He's taken 6 for at Newlands. He's bowled well at the Oval. So it's not as if he can't bowl.
Sure.
And the fact that he'll give you runs, I'm not saying that Hanuma Vihari can't. I still thought that Hanuma Vihari batted really, really well for whatever he did. But still, just if you pick the 11, keeping in mind the balance of the side, keeping in mind that 2 guys had missed out, I seriously thought that we made a poor selection call.
Okay, now 243 for Australia in their second innings from 93 overs, Damien, but they went to 3 and over in the first innings. As good as India's fast bowlers have been, and yes, they didn't help themselves with a selection call, could they have just gotten carried away looking at that pitch, thinking they don't need to bowl as well as they had in Adelaide in lesser helpful conditions? In spite of the batting disappointing, can there be fingers pointed at India's bowlers for letting Australia get 320 in the first innings?
Yeah, I think after every test match, you want to assess it, and if you lose it, there will be, looking at areas, and that obviously there's selection as well. I think that wicket, as I mentioned, even the curator said bowl first. So, he probably got it wrong as well, because, batting first, you see this green wicket. So selection, and I agree with Muley, they bowled much better in Adelaide when they probably thought they had to on a wicket that demanded that. And all of a sudden you get to a wicket that's green, you see it seaming, you probably, without even maybe constantly thinking mentally, you go, okay, I'm just going to run in and bowl the ball, and it's going to seam everywhere, we're going to get wickets without a game plan. And it didn't work out that way. Same as batting, if you bat an Adelaide Oval and it's flat, sometimes you mentally just drop off a bit, instead of batting on a different wicket. And I think whether that comes down to tiredness, back-to-back test matches, or just a bit of discipline, they had an opportunity that first day. If they got inroads into Australia and put them on the back foot, the test match might have been different.
Yep.
Okay, let's take your questions now. They're pouring in as a result of Australia's win and levelling this series. Sets things up beautifully for the series, but I can understand that there might be plenty of questions for Indian fans who've had enough of a debate in the last few days of India's team selection and whatnot. And Rajesh Madanagopal on similar lines, they failed to read the pitch far too many times, the Indian think tank, says Rajesh. We have been on the back foot even before the start of the game, and this isn't the first time. Now I know that Sanjay Manjrekar says time and again one of the hardest things is to predict how pitches will play in cricket, but given the resources, the amount of support staff, can you expect your team to get this right more often than not? Are India guilty of not getting that?
See, I can understand that so many heads, sometimes do they spoil the broth? I have got no idea about that. Like they say, too many cooks spoil the broth. Over here, I definitely feel you need to pack yourself. It's like going into a session. You pick your best bowlers to bowl. Similarly, you pick your best 11 within the given circumstances. And the toss was out of India's hand. They won the toss. But I still feel, even on that surface, if you bowl well, if you saw what they did in Adelaide, you just had to bowl well. Somebody's playing in his second test match. The other batsman is searching for runs. And if you're going to give them a 113 run start on a surface which was conducive to fast bowling or conducive to bowling, I think you're on the wrong foot anyways. It's not about what they did. It's about the fact that we went in shortchanging ourselves.
But this pattern, Karthik, of getting pitch reading wrong, I know it's not it's an inexact science, if you can call it that, but I know hardcore fans who've said that if you're paid salaries of 7.5 crore a year, those are the kind of decisions you're supposed to get right. As the think tank, as the coach, the captain's got enough on his shoulders, but you have a lot of people around to get these things right.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think with the pitch as well, it's like anything in life. Everybody looks at the same pitch, but everybody's got a different view on it and a different take on it. But in this game, the toss was taken out of our hands. We didn't win the toss. Australia decided to bat first. But I'm just talking about the selection errors. I'm just talking about those kind of mistakes, the kind of strategies which we have gone in with. Even in a game where the field placements, those are the kind of things which can be controlled by us, which is within the control of the playing 11 or the people around them. I think those are the things which need to be looked at, because Ashwin was missing. Yes, we all know. If he was fit, possibly he would have gone in with the same side. Yeah. Rohit Sharma was unfit. You would have gone in with the same side. I don't know whether they would have
been moved. Yeah.
No, we don't know how they would have performed. But you have to keep in mind that it was a 3-day turnover. You saw the speeds at which Ishant and Umesh were bowling. Umesh is playing his first game, so he's got no reason to complain. Yeah. But the others, Bumrah, Shami, the way they ran, and Ishant Sharma was bowling at 129 as the game finished. So if you want to help the bowlers, you possibly pick the better bowlers. That's why I felt that going into day one without a spinner, just because you saw the pitch was green, and the fact that Bhuvaneshwar Kumar, who could have been the best exponent in these circumstances on any given day, you've not picked them. So I don't understand. So these are the kind of things. Pitch, obviously people can go wrong in their reading.
Okay, now Damien, at times we get more annoyed by this as followers of Indian cricket, because there are such resources. It's not that we've often had times where you've had a 15-16 man squad, all of
18.
whom can have 18 and now 19 as the series will go forward, where you can actually play guys to different conditions and have a significant result. Now this team clearly has something that they need to figure out to getting it right. Where should it ideally come from? Should it come from coaching staff that have travelled and followed the game enough? Is it there should be enough people advising, especially a team like India, to get this right? Where do you think this problem should be addressed?
Well, I'm not sure how the Indian setup works. Probably whether it's the BCCI or the selectors, and then on tour the coach and captain. I mean, I'm sure.
Tell me a bit about your team then. Tell me a bit about Australia. When you travel to different places,
Yep.
who did you rely on for just know-how of how things would play out and rely on that one voice? Was it one person or did it have to be a few people coming together? Was it your homework or how did you go about it?
Yeah, no, it was definitely the selectors with our coach and our captain and probably vice captain. They'd have discussions about, especially going away tours and what's going on, and then it ultimately comes down to the selectors to pick the side or the squad in a sense, and then we go on tour. And then back in our day, the coach would be a selector maybe, or the captain would be part of that, where they'd pick their side and sort of go that way. I don't mind that. I think on tour, once you've got your squad, I think the captain should be part of this. It's like, because the captain in the day has got to walk out in the field with the 11 that he really wants and feels good about to win a test match. And I know there's selectors who pick sides, but the captain has to be involved because at the end of the day, he's got to have faith in what he's got and what he's walking out with. And then, you get confidence in what you want to do. Did they make selections wrong? Yeah, probably, because Ashwin was injured. If Ashwin was fit, he would have played and it might have been a totally different story. I think batting first, majority of times helps you win test matches if you get the best conditions and, the other side bats last. So there's a whole lot of range of factors that could come into it.
Sure. Let's take a question for Damien Martin now as the questions come pouring in after Australia's win at the Optus Stadium. This is from Mithun Mohan. How does Damien rate the Australian performance? Is it the bowlers plugging holes in the batting or was it a complete performance? Damien?
It wasn't a complete performance. I think our batting is still showing signs of they definitely need improvement. We saw Finch and Harris make some runs, which was nice. Khawaja, the second innings, was slowly getting back into form. But, over a group as a whole, they've got to perform and perform better. And I think there'll be question marks over Hanscom as well, going into the next test match, whether he will be picked or whether someone else will come in. Finch, through his injury, might not play, so there's an opportunity. Our bowling definitely, Stark and Hazelwood and Lyon have been fantastic. They've been together for a long time now and performed, and they stood out again. So I agree, yes, our bowling at the moment is helping the batting out.
Yep.
And if Pat Cummins shows up, gets a few runs and takes the wicket of Virat Kohli, that you take that as well every now and then. Question for Murli Karthik on Virat Kohli actually, and this is more Virat Kohli the captain than Virat Kohli the batsman. There are very few questions of Kohli the batsman anymore. Bharatwaj wants to know, is Kohli a long-term captain? Will he take India forward? Get selections wrong? I'm not sure if you can blame only the captain for selection calls. I don't know where you stand on that, Karthik. But looking at Vijay, he looks clearly out of confidence.
I'll answer the second part first. I thought that there was a semblance of coming back to form the way Murali Vijay was batting yesterday. Yes, he has been out of form, and that can happen because he was also sent back from one tour, and if you're just playing one format, I understand Pujara is somebody who does it differently, but for somebody like Murali Vijay, who's been so elegant and such a good player in overseas conditions, a sudden lack of form or certain things which have crept in to his batting, I keep using the word crept in because of the fact that he was so good outside the off stump, and suddenly with that kind of similar feet movement which he's always had, he started throwing his bat at the ball, and that can happen. He tried to work that out. Yesterday was very good against those bowlers on a difficult track before he played that expansive cover drive. So I don't think he is as much out of form or out of confidence as is KL Rahul, because he's had an extended run now from the tour of England, and even in the tour of West Indies he didn't look comfortable against a lesser bowling attack. So he's the one who's, I feel, more out of confidence, and the way he played that shot that or got out in the second innings gives you a state of mind, or tells you about his state of mind. So I'm worried more about KL Rahul than Murali Vijay at the moment. Yes, you want runs from both of them. And coming back to Kohli, I think at the moment he is your man. He's somebody who plays with a lot of passion. Yes, as a captain you're always going to make those mistakes when it comes to selection calls and the fact that certain strategies, but I don't think you can blame him alone, because there is a big think tank sitting outside, and sometimes when you're outwards looking in, you can constantly send messages or convey what you feel. So I think it's a collective thing. You can't just blame one man.
Okay, now let's move the blame from just Virat Kohli, if you feel that way, or the bowlers. The fact remains that this is another chase India was set, not necessarily an impossible one, an improbable one, with 287 being significantly high, but you think that this Indian team would at least get closer, and it's another chase that's gone wrong. And we look at this graphic time and time again, India while chasing in 2018 in away tests, and your eyes keep going most noticeably to Edgbaston, the first test of that series, where they just fell 30 short when they should have got less than 200. Cape Town too, although those conditions were swinging and streaming all over the place. They didn't manage it in Southampton. They've not done it at Centurion. The Oval was a long shot. They got closer than you'd expect with the way things were going on that final day. But then that's a sixth time this year that they've not been able to chase. Damien, where can you point out the lack of ability or lack of just mental toughness of a team to get closer when they are chasing fourth innings? It's one of the harder things to do in Test cricket, I'm sure. But now that this seems like a pattern, what does it suggest to you?
Yeah, I suppose now you say 6 times. I mean, I suppose the Oval was a very good wicket. The others, I mean, it's always tough, I think, batting last in Test cricket, depending on the conditions and the wicket and chasing. You mentioned Birmingham, yes, 30 runs short, probably should have got there. I mean, Cape Town's hard to bat on, as you mentioned. Centurion, the same, and here at Perth, difficult wickets. I mean, I think even if Australia was batting last year, chasing that score, I would have backed India to, bowl them out in a sense. I mean, no spinner, I get that, line was there, but just tough wicket, tough chasing, balls are going up and down. It's very hard to play your shots. It was very hard to hit the ball down the ground. So how do you judge that? I mean, yes, you got Kohli there. Sharma was out. I mean, the openers have been struggling out of form. You probably need a good start from the openers, which always helps. So there's a lot of reasons. You can always pick holes when you're losing or, you're batting last and trying to win test matches.
Having followed most of those games, does it come down to the opening partnership? Just having that start makes you feel like you can get
massively. And look at it, we've not had any opening partnership. So practically we are winning games because the bowlers have, whatever games we are winning is because the bowlers have bowled exceptionally well, and then 3, 4, 5, 6 have gotten runs. So 1 and 2 haven't gotten runs. So how do you do it? It can't happen day in, day out. The odd game, yes, you understand. And there's been no lower order contribution. Not that you're picking those bowlers for their batting, but still there's nothing coming from there either. So it's a question of, look, this was the case even in the last game. It's just that we managed to win. Even in Adelaide we didn't get runs.
You could argue that Australia were poorer with the bat than India were.
Yeah, exactly. And so imagine on an easier batting surface, if the Indian bowling could make that team look poor on a better bowling surface, you would think that 326 is too much on any given day. So yeah.
More questions coming in for both Murali Karthik and Damien Martin on this post show of the second test between India and Australia. Series leveled now for Tim Paine's side. Gaurav Sundararaman, possible to ask Pujara to open next test. He usually holds one end and can prevent early wickets from falling. He's done it before in Sri Lanka. I like this question because with both openers looking quite out of touch, you mentioned Vijay has been better. Now Mayank Agarwal we know has been called up. Does he find a place straight away in the Boxing Day test for you? And is that an option to perhaps free up another spot that India could use for either Ashwin or Jadeja or Rohit?
I think it's brilliant. I think it's a great option which India might consider if they feel that both of these openers, and sometimes sitting afar from the team or within the camp, you don't understand how a player is moving about in the dressing room as well. Confidence is a big thing, and that is sometimes you can see that in somebody's body language. KL Rahul or Murali Vijay drooping shoulders, that can carry even in the nets. It's not just about the game. So that is something which the team think tank has to think about. Pujara is a great option. He has done it, and anyways he's coming within the third ball or the fourth ball or the second over. So it definitely frees up a spot. Does Hardik Pandya find a place? Because he can come in handy as well. Is he the kind of player? Because your bowlers are tired now. You can take a 6-day break. They're still going to be practicing. And if you can free up a spot by getting Pujara to open, if he's comfortable opening, Prithvi Shaw coming into the team, I think it's a great way of thinking.
Prithvi Shaw is ruled out now. So
Prithvi Shaw ruled out.
He's been ruled out. So Mayank Agarwal has been called up as a replacement. In which case, would he find place or would you open with Vijay?
I think then Pujara? Vijay and Pujara is the option.
Give
because
Vijay another
you don't want Mayank Agarwal. He's not played a game when the others are acclimatizing for the last 1 month. So you don't want somebody. It's hard. Then you're going to point a finger. If he has a couple of failures, then you'll say Mayank Agarwal is not a good enough opener. Everybody takes time. It's not as if the greatest of batsmen have toured abroad and gotten runs, or the greatest of bowlers have toured abroad and gotten wickets on the very first tour. So Mayank Agarwal, yes, it's the worst case scenario. If you think nobody, then obviously he's shoved into the deep end of the pool. But right now, if this is the option, and if Prithvi Shaw is also ruled out, I think that's a great question. I think Pujara is the man
Yeah.
possibly at the top of the order and get someone else in.
It sounds easy enough for us to think about it, Damien, because Pujara's virtually coming in, like Karthik says, first over or, even earlier at times, the second or third ball, and is acclimatized to playing the new ball. But how much does it upset the balance? Your number 3 being asked to open because of a lack of form or a lack of options up top. Is it something you'd recommend halfway through the series now that it's 1-1?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, if your partnership's not working, the opening batters, it's like Australia as well. I mean, whether it's injuries or players missing out or whatever, you change things around. You've got no option. I mean, does India go the same going forward? I think not. And as you said, batting 3, that player can open the batting. I mean, there's not much difference in the sense of, getting out there and facing the new ball. Number 3 is always quality batsman. So I agree with Murali. I think it'll be a good option in the next Test match.
If we had to entertain that thought, the number 3 is the other question. Does Kohli come up to 3, or do you put Rahane at 3?
Possibly Rahane at 3. And also one more option which we can have, and he's part of that 18-man squad, is Parthiv Patel. Because he's
a
good
specialist
player.
opener.
Yeah, just as a specialist opener. But the thing is, then where does he field? PP doesn't have a Brett Lee arm or an Andrew Simons arm at Melbourne. So where does he field then? Because Rishabh Pant with the gloves, or is it Parthiv Patel with the gloves? Because Parthiv is a capable batsman. He's a wonderful batsman, especially on these kind of surfaces. He's so good square of the wicket. So that is also another option. So it's a lot of things, because see what happens. It's so simple, isn't it? Openers, you just want them to fire. If they don't fire, it just opens up a conundrum, because the entire balance of the team goes for a toss.
Well, these are questions that India have plenty of days to figure the answers out for. Lots of time between this test now and the Boxing Day test. Like we've said, Parthiv Patel is an option. They've got so many numbers there, India. Let's see if they can get their combination sorted before the MCG test. One more question before we move on this post-match show from Raghuram Prasad. Question for Karthik. Does the toss play a crucial role in test matches?
Yeah, it does. On surfaces like this, it does. But the thing is that everybody thought that if India had won the toss, I'm pretty sure they would have bowled first. They wouldn't have batted first. So it's also the decision making after the toss which is crucial. You have to make the right decision and also bowl well. I always feel that skill can always overcome certain things. Yes, there are certain wickets where win the toss, you win the game. But in a 5-day game on a surface like that, I don't think it made that much of a difference.
There's going to be a more detailed Murali Karthik debate on the toss with VVS Lakshman. Watch out for ESPN Cricket for Gloves Off. That's in the pipeline and will be featured on the site and on the app. So keep an eye out on that as we build up to more cricket towards the Boxing Day. One for Damien Martin as we wrap the questions up that you've been sending, and many thanks to all of you for sending them in. This from Mu Kase, is that how you pronounce it? Apologies if I got it wrong. What will be the Aussie team for the next match? Will there be certain changes? They've got some time, but for injuries, even if Aaron Finch is ruled out, Martin, who is your man to fill in that role? Is there place for Mitchell Marsh? Would you put Khwaja up top? What are your thoughts looking ahead to the MCG test?
Yeah, no, I think there will be changes. Well, in the sense of if Finch is injured, I mean, that finger, no one really knows what's going on as we do with injuries behind the team. But say he's ruled out, I think they'll pick an opener. I think they'll pick a specialist opener to come in. And there's talk of Joe Burns, who has played before, a while ago now, making runs. He's making runs in first-class cricket, doing well. And the other one is Daniel Hughes from New South Wales, specialist opener. So I would, if he's out, I would go one of those before moving up Khawaja. I think, we keep Khawaja where he is, getting back into a bit of form. Does Mitchell Marsh play? I'm not sure. I think we'll keep our bowling attack the same. Hanscom, will he play? I'm not sure. I think he might miss out. And if that's the case, I'm going to go, I would like, instead of putting Mitchell Marsh there, I'd go like a Jake Lehman, who's Darren Lehman's son. I know that's probably out there, but he's making runs and making big runs in Shield cricket. Talented player, attacking player, perfect for that position. So, they're my choices. I'm not a selector, so maybe not.
These things change quickly, Damien. Don't be too sure. There might be a slot open for you very soon in Australian cricket.
That's
now,
right. Putting my hand up.
He's got a very good selection record, Damien Martin, because he's selected perfectly as far as the Fab 4 game goes on this show. As I have a look at the 4 that these gentlemen have been picking over the last few days, and we have a winner. Now, how has Damien Martin gone day 5? Nathan Lyon, 20, Pat Cummins, 60, Mitchell Starc. So he's got himself amongst the points, 120 points for Damien Martin. You've done well in this game. Have you enjoyed it, Damien?
I have enjoyed it. I was nervous early on, so but Laxman, anybody can beat Laxman, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, you would think he finished third. Ajit Agarkar took a backdoor entry and made sure he finished third last test match. Let's have a look at how the other two have done, Karthik and Lakshman. And this is on day 5. Well, 45 points. So that's the point that Damon Martin makes. VVS going for his heart, picking Hanuma Vihari, Rishabh Pant on a day where you should have only picked Aussie bowlers. But yeah, 45 points for Lakshman. And let's have a look at Murli. Karthik, how have you done last few days, Karthik, in my absence? Let me have a look on this 64 points. So you did well to pick 3 Aussie bowlers. Have you?
They didn't give the bowling to Josh Hazelwood. I was just surprised.
They didn't need to. Now, how does the leaderboard look? I'm very curious coming in on day 5 and seeing how these 3 have played this game last 4 or 5 days. Wow, Damon Martin 700 plus. And like he rightly puts, anybody can beat VVS Lakshman, but Murli Karthik is more than just anybody. He's got a very intense look on his pitch. I don't know, maybe got that portrait from.
It was from some evening out, I guess.
You know what that's done is, Damien, you'd be happy to know, both Australians have won this in the first 2 tests. Brad Hodge won it in the last test. You've won it here. So you guys are picking teams very well. Maybe there's a bigger role for you with this Australian team, like I said.
I didn't know how you won it then. Hodgie put a lot of pressure on me, but yes, I think we should be selectors. Yes, I think Nathan Lyon saved me early on by picking him, getting 5 wickets the first innings.
Yeah, well done to you, Damon Martin. There'll be an occasion for you to play this again when we look forward to your company in the coming test. Thank you, Damon, for joining us through the course of Maruti Suzuki Presents ESPN Cricket for Matchday. Karthik, pleasure as always.
Thanks.
We'll see and hear a lot more of you as the series comes along. And thank you very much for sending your questions, comments. Do download the ESPN Cricket for mobile app for extensive coverage in the aftermath of the Perth test and the build-up to the Boxing Day test. We look forward to your company then for that big one at the MCG. The story from Perth is that Tim Paine's side have a victory to savour. The series is 1-1. We'll see you again for Maruti Suzuki Presents ESPN Cricket for Matchday.